The Yamaha RGX-TT Drop6 signature model was the first guitar I ever bought and the reason I named my channel, but what isn't commonly known is when it was released there was actually a baritone version of this guitar. So in terms of specs, it is almost exactly the same. So same except for the 26.25 inch or 666 millimeter scale length, which enabled you to tune down to B standard. It still had all the same pickups and bridge and the special 5-way pole switching system, but unlike the standard version, it only came in two colors: translucent green sunburst and translucent purple sunburst. And in terms of specs, they look almost identical. The first thing that you notice about the baritone model is it doesn't have the tighter ball inlay at the 12th fret, although I have seen some production guitars that do have it. So maybe it was a mix up at the factory. And as well, the baritone version has these dot inlays at all the frets, whereas the standard version doesn't have that. When I unboxed this guitar, it was mostly in really great condition, but something often you find about these is this one was tuned to E standard as well. Some people say there's no problem with that. In fact, it gives a sort of snappier sound, but it's meant to be tuned to B standard. Now on these, they do have the recessed inner input jack, just like the old RGXs. So first thing I always check is make sure that it's all tight and positively set up. And just like my other standard model, someone has gone to the effort of actually blocking off the bridge so it goes down in tune only. I don't know why there's two spaces in front of the bridge block here. I think maybe he put some ESP arming adjusters or some sort of tremolo stop in there, but I don't really use the tremolo on these models a lot. Here's a shot of the electronics cavity, so you can see the Oak Grigsby super switch, and it's actually so large the control cavity isn't big enough, so it's sort of bowed at the edge so it can fit. And you can see the push-pull pot there. So whoever used this guitar before didn't really know how to use locking tuners. I can see the tuners wound, the strings are wound all the way around the tuning peg, and these are Spertzel American locking tuners, so they are really great. And then in terms of the fretboard, this guitar had been gigged and obviously seen some stuff, so there was some heavy pitting in the frets that I had to move. Years and years of playing build up some gunk on the fretboard, so first thing was to clean it all off, and then I started doing a fret clean and dress to make sure everything was all good. And this is what it looked like after that. I really do love the green. The back of this guitar was originally covered in about 5 stickers, and most of them came off except for this one, which I do have to soak a bit longer to get it to come off. But apart from that, the finish on these is really thick poly finish, and so even if there is a sticker on and it takes some of the finish off, you can always sand it back and you've got heaps of room to spare. Here's how the frets looked after a thorough polish, and here's how the entire guitar looked ready to go. In terms of the nut, it's often said somewhere in the documentation that it actually has a bone nut. It doesn't have a bone nut, it has a urea nut, which is from the Yamaha acoustic models, but I found this one was perfectly cut and enabled me to get a low action, like straight out of the box, with these Ernie Ball not even slinky strings, which are the same spec as they were originally meant to come with, and it's just a little bit higher than the ideal electric string height for a baritone. One of the main reasons I've always loved this guitar model, being a Steve Morse fan, and his signature guitar's got 11 pickup combinations. This one's got 7 unique pickup combinations. So in position 5, you've just got the rear humbucker, the JB as normal. In position 4, you've got the middle pickup and just the slug coil of the bridge pickup. That gives like a sort of telly bridge sound. In the third position, you got the front pickup plus the rear humbucker, which also gives a bit of a telly in the middle sound. And then you've got in position 2, you got the front and the center pickup, which is that sort of straight in between sound. And then you've got the front pickup. Now these are Seymour Duncan vintage rails, and the resistance on them is really low. It's about 2.2 k ohms, and they're also really far away from the strings by default from the factory. So I replaced mine because I was so frustrated with the volume difference between the two. But now that I've seen that all I had to do was probably raise the pickups up closer to the strings, I'm probably going to put my old RGX-TT back to standard, because once you do raise these pickups up, they sound absolutely fantastic. So much so like Strat pickups, and that's really what I wanted the sound to be like. A noiseless fat Strat. And in terms of the JB, I was probably a bit harsh on it. You'll hear today it absolutely does do baritone and down tuning really well, and in fact, I absolutely love it again. I don't know why I ever went away from it, but I think I'll return my other RGX-TT back to standard as a result. Really enjoyed the sound. So now it's time for the review. What are the pros of the Yamaha RGX-TT Drop6? Great pickups and combinations. I'd always written off the JB, especially when I had it in my first RGX-TT. But here it sounds amazing. And I think by just raising the height of those single coil pickups, that volume loss would become less. And in terms of sound, there'd be much less volume drop across the pickups. Now, there may be a reason why there's a difference in the output between them. Like the combination is just meant to add a little hint of those coils. So, for example, that bridge and middle combo sounds really good. Sounds like a telly bridge, and the middle combo that also sounds like a fat telly sort of in the middle sound. So maybe there's a reason for it, but most people do get annoyed with that the volume drop. So maybe raising the pickup height will fix that. But apart from that, love the sounds, especially the clean sounds. Good bridge. It's got the Wilkinson VS100, which has a lot of adjustability and is great for sustain. Big frets, big jumbo frets, easy playability, and it's got great hardware that's also easy to replace. There's no real bespoke part of this guitar, so if you run into problems with spare parts down the track, you shouldn't have too much of a trouble. The only thing I can think of that would be hard to replace is that control cavity cover, which has that little bump in it. It's cheap for what it is. It's a absolute pro level machine with fantastic USA hardware on everything, USA switches, USA tuners, USA pickups, and you can pick it up for quite a reasonable sum. Back in the early 2000s, I mean, who was doing a baritone guitar? I can think of the Mike Mushok, I can think of a couple of other ones, but really at the time it should have been a lot more popular than it was. And it's a great alternative to playing a 7-string. Everything carries over, and you're just able to pick it up and play everything you used to play, just like a normal 6-string guitar. It has a wide and thin neck, and the way I'd describe it is not as wide as a classical neck, but almost up there. So chording is easy, fingerstyle is easy, and even so those fast runs, you have to do the string skipping. I find it very comfortable to play. And this is a lightweight guitar. If you had to gig with this, it weighs only 3.3 kilos, and that's with strings and everything and strap locks. So even in the old pounds, that's 7.2 pounds. So a very comfortable guitar for having on the stage. Cons. Now, it is hard to find a case for these models. It fits my original Yamaha RGX-TT case, so if you can get one of them. Otherwise, you'd be looking at something like an Explorer or a other baritone case to try and fit it in. And neck and middle pickups, I talked about that volume drop, which can probably be fixed by raising them up. It has a low resale value despite being a fantastic pro level instrument, so you can probably get in and get out of buying one of these and experimenting with it for a very low fee and for a very good turnover. And although the Wilkinson VS100 is a fantastic bridge, it does struggle in full floating mode. And to be honest, I never use it in full floating mode. There is a conversion kit from Wilkinson that's available on Reverb, but it costs around $300, but it always guarantees it returns to center. So if you do want to use the bridge and do you want to take advantage of the whammy features, I suggest you'd probably invest in that. Alternatively, you could probably buy a couple of ESP arming adjusters or Goeldo back boxes or a tremory. I do have a video on my channel of comparing those few different products. Who is this guitar recommended for? It's a great first baritone experience for any guitarist. You can just get in, and it's got a fantastic neck,
Great pickups and hardware, and you just don't have to worry about, you know, tuning stability or anything like that. People who love super strats, so this thing can do it all. It can do the really distorted heavy stuff, and then you can turn around and do country 5 seconds later. Great for instrumentals. I always find myself playing a lot of rhythm on this guitar rather than doing the lead stuff. It absolutely can do the lead stuff, but I always find myself playing sort of complicated rhythm parts. And you heard there, it can almost sound like two guitars when you're playing those sort of triad or dyad chord systems. So it's a very full sounding instrument. So Ty Tabor from King's X, it was just him and a bassist and drummer. And so he always had to sound big for being just the one guitar player. And I think that's what comes through with playing this guitar. And if you're a King's X fan, there's a lot of tunes in the back catalogue which have some funny tunings. So this guitar is great for some people who do cover a lot of tunings, especially in a set. Let's say you're a guitarist who does drop C or drop D. You can just use this baritone and just change sort of how you play things. And like I said, it can do standard tuning, just super snappy, and there's a lot of string tension there. Otherwise, you could just convert it to drop C or drop D and just change the string gauge from Ernie Ball to the appropriate one. I found these Ernie Ball Mammoth Slinkies fit it perfectly and made it feel as if I was just playing a standard guitar. So in terms of tension, it's exactly the same as if you had a 9 to 46 on a standard guitar. So it was fantastic. Thanks for watching today. I do a lot of pickup demos on my channel, and I also do a lot of Yamaha guitars, and that's pretty much what my channel is entirely dedicated to. Buying and demonstrating these fantastic instruments, showing you all the sounds you can get out from them, and also using third-party products like pickups to also change the sound and get the most out of those. So if you do like my content, please stay tuned and subscribe. Thank you very much. Goodbye.